Couldn't get the sample cleared. I replayed the melody like 17 different times. 17 versions that we submitted to the label. They finally picked one. Everything's the same except the melody, but it's different enough so that a lot of the fans who fell in love with the first track, that when it leaked, it wasn't supposed to leak. The song is called Switch It Up. They loved the original version so much that they were upset. It's just more discouraging than anything. What's going down? This is the Music Entrepreneur Club podcast episode. I think this is episode 108. That just kind of rolls off the tongue. Welcome back. Every single week we host 2 music business mentorship sessions. They're completely free. They're powered by BeatStars. BeatStars.live on Mondays and Thursdays at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is where to be. Dame, how are you feeling? This is week 2 of you being a man who's spoken for.
I'm feeling good, man. Our sessions have been really dope. Let's see. In the past few weeks, I know you've had Parks from the Joe Budden podcast. I know that was a dope session. We had Benji Grinberg, who is the founder and CEO of Rostrum Records, who obviously was home to the late, great Mac Miller and Wiz Khalifa. We've just had some really dope sessions, so I'm excited. If you haven't been tapping into them, please do. There's a lot of gems dropped every single week. We just had the co-founder of a platform called IndieFi on, and IndieFi is a platform that's still in beta, but it's actually linking artists with investors and artists with managers. Now, I was skeptical because I really don't know like that many people that are just out there wanting and willing to invest in artist music, because it's typically not a great investment, artists at early stages. But this platform, I think, is one, kind of proving me wrong. But 2, it's creating kind of a healthy ecosystem for this to happen. There's a lot of transparency. Artists don't have to give up their masters. Like it's a really dope platform. And I hope that it continues to thrive. They're going about it very strategically, very methodically. And I think what they're doing makes a lot of sense. So it's not just like, hey, let's rush to open this. I think they're getting the right people involved early, the right types of artists involved early. So check out IndieFi. The co-founder's name is Connor Lawrence, real sharp cat. I could tell that he knows, what he's talking about and has a good amount of experience in this now. So check out indiefi.io. But those are the type of conversations that we have on a weekly basis, people that are super smart, doing real impactful things in the music industry. Obviously, the Joe Budden podcast is one of the top podcasts out there, if not the top hip hop podcast. So having Parks on, I didn't actually hear the session, but I'm just assuming that it was dope.
It was good.
Cool. Well, yeah, tap into the live sessions. They're free. They're twice a week. If you're serious about music, continuous education has to be a part of it. And I think our platform brings people to the table that, fit that bill of quality experience and quality education.
So Dame, can you name a act or artist, a band, whatever, that you're a super fan of?
A super fan of? Boyz II Men. I'm a super fan of Boyz II Men, and I have to go dial it back a little bit. I've become a big fan of, Ace Hood. I was a big fan of DMX. Who else? Jay-Z. But yeah, I would say Boyz II Men is the top.
Could you see yourself ever cussing out either of the Morris brothers?
No, I thought you said the Morris brothers. I was like, who is that? No, I don't really cuss out anybody unless I mean.
Okay, but you love Boyz II Men. So let's say like Nathan Morris is on social media and you're having a bad day, right?
No, I don't even. Yeah, no, I don't. Yeah, that's not something that would ever enter my mind at all. I don't think. I know, like that just. If you ever see me do something like that, please call me because something's wrong with me.
Okay. I want to propose this theory that fans are becoming more fickle with time, and a big reason for that is social media. But when I think back, I hate to say it, some of it has to do with the rise of the independent artist, in the sense that independent artists, right, are different from superstar artists in the regard that they have to do a lot of groundwork with fans, because they're, when you're a superstar artist, you're an icon, there's a lot of distance between you and your fans, because there's a label, there's management, there are all these people, security teams, this and that. You can't just approach Beyonce on the street, but you can just approach an R.A. the Rugged Man. You know what I'm saying? And that's part of Beyonce's marketing was never being someone that can be accessible. Accessibility was never a part of her aura. She's someone that is the queen. You don't get near her. You can't get near her, but you can get near an underground artist or a successful independent artist. And I've experienced that line being crossed many times, either because it's happened to me when I'm on tour with some of the acts that I'm with, or because I've seen it happen. I've actually seen fans of underground artists and independent artists feel this kind of what is the word? Like they're like the artist is obligated to show them love on a personal level, and then problems start. Like, there's a really bad example of that, and I don't really want to get into the situation, but I saw a pretty popular underground independent rapper almost get killed by one of his fans, because that fan there was just no barrier between them. It was like, this is someone that I support, and because he's accessible, I can do whatever I want. So
wasn't there a young artist, a young lady that was like part of American Idol or something that got killed in Florida?
I think, wasn't she a YouTube star?
It was something. It was some. I think it was a fan. I probably should have researched this prior, but I think it was a fan. He killed her.
Yeah, Christina Grimmie, and she released. So damn, she had 2 million, a couple million subscribers. Oh, she was on The Voice. That's what she was. She was on The Voice, not American Idol. Yep. And Adam Levine was her coach. And then she got signed to Island Records. I'm reading the bio now. And then eventually in 2016.
I'm pretty sure that was a fan.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, if you can call that a fan, but right. Your point is very well taken. There's a sense of entitlement that fans owe more or deserve more than just the art, right? Like, that should be the extent of the relationship. Like, if you enjoy somebody's art, they've already given you equal exchange for your support, right? You like their art, you enjoy their art. When you work out, when you are feeling down, whatever, you put on their music, and that should be what you receive. Like that's it. Like, that should be it. Some artists give you more, but that should be, seen as a blessing or additional. But yeah, my bad. Continue with the story.
I mean, there was a time, and I think this is probably the case for most fans these days, but there was a time when your favorite artist's music helped you through hard times. And now it seems like if you're going through hard times, you can take that out on your favorite artist on social media. So things feel different. That's why I asked you that Boys to Men question at the beginning. Like, you wouldn't just go on and be like, Nathan Morris is an asshole. I had a hard day. Fuck McDonald's drive-thru and fuck Nathan Morris for putting out this trash ass song that I didn't think was up to par with It's So Hard to Say Goodbye to Yesterday. Whatever the case is. But that's commonplace these days. You see people on social media who are fans of an artist or a group or whatever, devoting entire weeks to just bashing that artist.
And these are so you see it with fans? Like, yes, I don't see fans. It with fans. I see it with, just haters. Like, if of people that you don't like. I don't know how common it is with fans.
Well, where does the line stop? Because if you're listening to these artists' music enough for it to bother you to that extent, you've got to be a fan. You listened, you supported, you did a lot. You went out of your, back in the day, we would call that a fan. If you're listening to someone's music and it's inspiring this much feeling in you, that's a fan. But normally you didn't have any place to project that. You certainly couldn't project it directly to that artist or band.
Well, these days we have so much access to artists. You could become very familiar with somebody and not like them, right? They could have a political stance that you don't like, and you come to hate this person for that. They could be on opposing team that you support. We've seen that recently in the NBA of like fans actually spitting on players, throwing bottles on players. Like there's just this sense of entitlement these days that fans have, with artists, with athletes, that they deserve more. But if you're a fan of an artist, because here's one thing that does happen. Like if you support an artist early on, like some fans believe like they should have some say so in how you develop as an artist and what your music should sound like as an artist over time. So maybe if a fan doesn't like the way that you're developing, as if they're your A&R or something like that, then maybe like that fan, eventually turns on you and tells you that you're a sellout. Yeah, I've definitely seen that because fans feel like they deserve to be part of the creative process. And when an artist doesn't develop how you want them to develop, but for me, so my example was like Kanye. Like I love Kanye's music early days. And then when he started making different music, I just tapped out. Like I don't deserve to have a say in how he develops out as an artist. That's him, right? As a fan, the only thing I can stop doing is stop supporting the music. That's where it stops for me. Like I'm not going to go on Twitter and at Kanye and tell him how bad his music sucks, in my opinion. And I don't think it like sucks. It's just not.
No, it's just not for you.
It's just different. It just developed differently from how I heard it from College Dropout. And that's what I think fans should do. If you don't support and if you don't like the music anymore, either just play the old stuff or just stop listening, stop becoming a fan, unfollow. It should be that simple, but it's not.
Well, so then let me relate this to this Pooh Shiesty beat controversy, right? So 3 producers, Gold Hayes, JD Fang, and myself, made this track. Couldn't get the sample cleared. So I replayed the melody like 17 different times. For 2 weeks, I'm back and forth with Gold Hayes on the phone. Just like, okay, I sent a new version. Okay, what do you think? Okay, I'm going to change the notes here. I'm going to change the rhythm here. 17 versions that we submitted to the label. They finally picked one. And it drops. And it's everything's the same except the melody. But it's different enough so that a lot of the fans who fell in love with the first track, that when it leaked, it wasn't supposed to leak. And the song is called Switch It Up. They loved the original version so much that they were upset, because they couldn't get used to the new version. It was like day 1, day 2. So they were already like, what? They were surprised and not pleasantly surprised because, if you like a song, I understand what music does to people. You really love that song. And if it changes, then that's going to rub you the wrong way automatically. There's this whole, you have to really get used to it, and you have to be willing to listen to it more than 1 or 2 times to like it as much as the original. Right. So that's what happened. There was this initial backlash. I understand. I understand to an extent. I understand why people were upset initially, but it's like after a week, just give it a chance and just listen to it. There's literally one instrument in the whole track that was switched, and that was switching the sample out to a different melody. But having said that, initially the backlash was, it was a couple, because he has hundreds of thousands of fans. It was like a couple hundred people that rather than saying, hey, we like the original better, which a lot of people did say that it was, this is trash. You're a trash artist. Fuck you. I'm done supporting you. I don't fuck with Pooh Shiesty anymore. Fuck this record. Everyone who's involved in this should be, shit on. And just like really over the top internet type of targeted harassment to one artist. And I'm looking at them like, okay, these are fans, because clearly they like the music, but they're this upset to the point where they're just really insulting him. And I can imagine that had because it had an impact on all of us who were involved in the record. We're just like, damn, just listen to it more than give it more than a day. So then, some other negative stuff happened. Everything's good now, from my perspective, with regard to that record. But so months later, the music video drops to that song. And I stupidly post a supportive comment saying, shout out to JD Fang and Gold Haze for, co-producing the beat. Immediately, I'm getting negative responses saying the new beat is trash. We ruined the song. And it's funny because the video has 100% like ratio, or it did back then. And the song itself is at like 20 million streams total across the platforms. So clearly, whoever is upset about the song is a very small minority of so-called fans. But what's weird to me is this. So Pooh Shiesty's in jail right now. He's going through something negative. And the new video drops. And you would think that people would be, given those circumstances, fans would be more eager to show their support to the video. And I think the vast majority of them did. A very, very small percentage went out of their way to rehash their anger. And again, it feels like, if 200 people I don't know send comments and tweets saying they hate the new version, that's a small amount of people, compared to the tens of millions of streams it actually got. But as an artist, it feels like a lot. And it's just a weird choice to look at a situation and say to yourself, I'm a fan of this artist. This artist could use some positivity right now, but I'm still going to spend my energy and time to publicly trash something that the artist did just because I dislike this particular version of a song made by the exact same people. So whatever, I want to shout out everyone involved in the album. The album's gold. Shout out Atlantic Records. Shout out Pooh Shiesty.
But this is why. But like, this is why. I mean, I even like tell you like why do we care? Like you just said that it's a very small, loud minority. You just said that the album went gold. You just said that most people love and enjoy the album. Why are we spending time on the small fraction of a loud minority? Because artists and producers, like this is part of the game. Like we know this happens. And this is why, we say time and time again, you have to tune out because the loudest people are probably going to be, no, I'm not even going to say that. The loudest people aren't negative, but there is a small minority of people that are just going to be that peanut gallery.
Yeah.
And that's never, especially as an artist, as you're, creating music, designing merch, like those aren't the people that should be dictating your career or even, it's hard for me to tell you like, hey, don't feel anything when these people are saying these negative things. But, as much as you can, try to focus on the people that do enjoy, because that's where you get the real information of like, okay, who are these type of people? How do I find more of this? What type of experiences should I create for these people? What type of merch do these people like? Because those are the people that are supporting your career. Hopefully the loud minority turns into the negative minority turns into a positive too, because hopefully you have enough positivity. Did you see people combat those comments?
Yeah. No, of course. Yeah. So I think it probably, I hate to say it, it probably helps.
It does, for sure. It does.
Yeah, I think it's always good, even though it doesn't necessarily feel great, and it takes its toll on the artist. When the critics are that divided, I think the ensuing conversation just boosts the marketing power of the record.
Probably helped it go gold.
Yeah, well, so I agree with that. it's just like one of those things where like someone will put, and I've seen this on Facebook, someone will post a baby picture that goes viral because half of the people are saying that's an ugly ass baby, and the other half are like, no, that's cute. Why would you say that about a child? That can't feel good to the parent. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So you're still going through that anguish, but you're also feeling encouraged by the support. And it pulls you in different emotional directions, and artists are emotional and sensitive. I'm putting myself in that category. But it is at a certain point, it's way easier when your art is being clearly based on verifiable statistics that your art is being consumed and enjoyed. So, for example, one of the comments said, "No one's trying. What was it? No one's bumping this trash." And it's like, well, actually, this song, this video, got over 1 million views in like 3 days. And in addition, the song is, I think, the most streamed track from the deluxe version of the album. So yeah, absolutely, people are listening to it. That's a stupid ass comment. And that's the kind of perspective that helps helps the artist move away from feeling a way about what these people are saying about their music. But yeah, I can see how if, we weren't talking about a really popular superstar rapper, it might be different. But I wanted to bring up this other story, and it's related, not just because Leray and Pooh Shiesty have a hit song together and have worked together a lot, but because I think this concept of what a fan is in 2021 is also challenged by this story. So Hip Hop DX, this is where I consumed it. So credit to them. They posted this video of a Leray concert, and she gets on stage, and whoever is filming with their phone just kind of pans around at the crowd, and the crowd is dead silent. Particularly this one woman who's just kind of looking at the stage like she is not happy at whatever Leray is doing on that stage. And she responded because she saw that video kind of went viral, and everyone's like, fans are upset at a Leray concert, or I don't know, whatever the headline was. And the woman responded, and she said, I wasn't upset. I was just temporarily shocked because she was performing music I had never heard before, so I wasn't that excited about it. Something to that extent. And I thought that was interesting, and I think tell me if I'm overextending this. I feel like this is a new problem in the world of being an artist and having fans, because I would have absolutely loved to go to a concert and hear brand new music that I've never heard before from my favorite artist.
She said that the fan said that she was disappointed, or she just said she was trying to hear, maybe she was just trying to hear it and like process it because she had never heard it before. So she wanted to take it in. I mean, she said that she was disappointed. I mean, fans have a right to have a certain expectation when they go to a show. And if they don't have to cheer and clap and dance and jump up and down. I don't know. I can see one situation where, like I said, like the fan would be, just kind of, oh, I haven't heard this before. Let me hear it. Let me hear it, especially depending on the vibe of the song, the beat of the song. So maybe that slowed down my excitement, but it still has my attention versus, I'm upset because I've never heard this song before and I didn't want you to play this song.
Yeah, it was more like like people have an expectation. And that's what the art, I'm reading the fan statement. She said, basically, I was just confused. She said, when she came out on stage, everyone was like real hype, but I guess she started performing her newer songs first, and everyone was really looking for Big Purr and no more parties. So yeah, the expectation was, we want to hear what we want to hear, and you're doing something else. And so there's that. So we're not going to get hype until, and it said the crowd livened up once she did the hit songs that everyone knew. But it's just, to me, it's just weird because it's like, isn't the point of a concert to see the artist perform and have that live energy, not necessarily because you just want to hear the same song that you could just go back to your car and listen to?
I mean, people are different. I'm sure younger concert goers are different. You know, you might have gotten a different response from an older crowd, and I think it's important to kind of know your crowd so you can be a good performer, right? You want to be a good performer. You want to put on a good show so that touring can be a healthy part of your business going forward. If people aren't liking the show, you know, what's the likelihood of them coming to another show when you come back to that city? So I think you really just have to know your audience. And, you know, she only really has, I mean, in terms of like bigger songs, I think she only has a handful, like, and that would be like a 15-minute concert. So I would imagine she has to play lesser popular songs or lesser known songs. So I don't know if the fans expect to come there and hear 3 songs 6 times each so they can, you know, this is just, to me, it's just a lesson for artists. One, to have a good show prepared, have a good understanding of your fans. And I've seen a lot of artists just kind of survey their fans before going out on tour, saying, hey, you know, which songs do you guys want to see me perform? You know, if you care, if you want to do it that way. I think that's a good way to engage your audience. Should you base everything you're doing based off your fans? Hell no. But it's just good to have that information. You know, but, you know, just in terms of hearing this and turning it into a learning lesson for artists that may go on tour in the future, or producers that may go on tour in the future, you know, you have to have a good show. You have to have a good show. And you know, we were just in Vegas and, you know, watching Bruno Mars. He's probably the best concert that I've ever seen. You know, and you want to go back every single time. So hopefully you create that experience with your fans if you want touring to be a healthy part of your business. Like, there's some artists these days that don't want to tour, and that's okay as long as you have, you know, other revenue streams to support your business and your team. So,
well, it doesn't hurt that pretty much every Bruno Mars song was a hit single, but I think for artists that maybe don't have, you know, like Coi Leray she doesn't have the time in the game as Bruno Mars. He has more.
No, time. But she can prepare. Like, I just saw her XXL freestyle, if you want to call it, and you can tell she just didn't prepare. And I'm not a fan of hers, and I don't know if she takes that same approach to everything. But if she takes the same approach to her XXL freestyle that she does to her touring, or vice versa, I think I said that backwards. Like, that's going to be a problem for her touring business if she wants touring to be, because it was obvious that she wasn't prepared. She got a lot of flack for it. If that's how she performed, I don't know. I have a hard time believing that fans are going to like that. So, but I don't know, you know, what her shows are like. I don't know what her fans are like.
That's a fair point. And I can't speak on it. I remember when I was in a group and we definitely didn't have hits. And what we would do was strategize, have these meetings and really strategize how to improve our shows, and think about, and like you said, consider who our audience was, you know, because we didn't have fans like that. We maybe had a very small core group of people that we knew would come to our shows because they actually were fans of what we were doing. The rest of it was, you know, like if there were 200 people in the audience, we had to convince 180 of them to pay attention to us. And that was difficult. You know, it's intimidating, and we would get real frustrated about it. But eventually I started thinking more like a DJ and just thinking, okay, what is the crowd going to respond to? What energy, you know, where are we performing? What are they going to like? What kind of show is it? What are the demographics? So I remember we did like a footwork remix to one song. If we were performing for younger people, we did we made a bunch of music, not full songs, but like one verse, one hook type of records that were just for tour. We didn't put them out on albums or anything. Just so that we could perform, because we knew that was the right kind of energy. It wasn't necessarily the kind of energy that matched what we were trying to put on our albums, but if we were performing on campus, we're like, okay, we know what our anthem is House of Pain, Jump Around. We didn't really make music that was at that tempo, but for a live performance, we started to, and it did well. And I remember we would, remix popular songs, not for entire. I don't like when artists do that, when they'll do like a whole 3-minute remix of a popular song. We do it for like a minute and a half just to bring the crowd in.
Right.
And then drop some of our music and spin the set that way. And that actually worked really well until my partner became a drug addict and stole a bunch of money from people in the group.
Well, that story turned.
Went up in smoke. But I can't really speak on Coi Leray's set list because I've never been to a concert. I do think that the artist-fan relationship over the last 2 decades has changed quite a bit. And with social media creeping into the picture and with artists having to use social media, fans do weird shit, man. I really don't think that the people that are bad mouthing artists can't be their fans. I've had people, I'm not a superstar celebrity by any means, and I've had people send me a DM that was like, yo, suck my dick. And I would respond like, what the fuck? And they go, oh, my bad. I didn't think you would respond. How you doing, man? I really like your shit. Like, who is helping you with your life? What is happening to you right now? This is not healthy behavior. But I'm thinking if I'm getting that, I can't imagine what someone at Coi Leray's level is getting. And then you extend that to people who are icons. And oh man, people.
Well, that's why a lot of them don't use social media like that, and they don't have to.
Yeah, I don't blame them.
That's probably a reason. But yeah, I think times have changed, and even for DJs, right? Like 20 years ago, 30 years ago, DJs were kind of responsible for breaking new music. Now, today, DJs are scared to play new music in a dancing environment because people are familiar with these songs, and then you want to mix in a song that people aren't familiar with. Now you're taking a risk at like messing up the energy in the room. I mean, you're a DJ, you know this better than me, but I've heard it from DJs. I see it. It's a complete flip on how things used to be for DJs. And I think that is one of the effects of social media. The last thing that I would say, just in terms of a learning lesson for artists and producers, is, your fans are going to change over time. You're going to lose a lot of fans over time, especially if you make fans that are 16 years old, 17 years old. Because if you think about just how a young person grows, matures, hopefully over those next few years, a 16-year-old can be a completely different person by the time they're 21, 22. So there's changes going on in that person, and there's probably changes going on in your music. It's evolving. So you can't you can't listen to the loud minority of fans that want to A&R your music. You have to understand your audience and understand how it's evolving and might change, but then you also have to be at peace with the music that you want to make and how you're evolving as an artist. So you just have to be mindful of how things are changing. You can't get upset because you're expected to lose fans. You just hope that you gain more than you lose over time. That's just the process. We lost fans at Funk Volume for whatever reason. They didn't like certain things that we were doing. All right, cool, peace. But we lost one, but we picked up 100. That's a cool exchange for me. It lets me know that we're still on the right track. If I'm over here listening to this 10 idiots that are sending us ridiculous messages, catering to them, then maybe I wouldn't have picked up the 100. Right. So that's just the process of gaining and losing fans over time. It's natural, and that's just how it happens.
Yeah, okay. This is just such a good analogy for DJing, because I'll be DJing, right? Everyone will be dancing, and it'll be one person coming up and saying, man, no one wants to dance to that shit. Or like the drunk person, oh my God, why don't you play this song? Everyone would dance. No one wants to hear what you're playing right now. I'm like, look, everyone's dancing to this. I guarantee you I play the bullshit that you want me to play. Half of the crowd is going to walk away. But you triggered me with that conversation because Yo, I'm so sick of hearing this conversation of this narrative about DJs not breaking music anymore, and why don't DJs break records now? Why aren't DJs a source of musical discovery? I do not want to hear people blaming DJs for not breaking music anymore. That's not the conversation. It hasn't been like that for a long time, for better or worse. When I first started DJing, it was kind of like around that cutoff point where DJs were still a source of music discovery. But nowadays it's YouTube and Spotify, and people like what they like because it's trending. Not everybody, but I'm talking about the average club goer. They want to hear what's familiar. They want to dance to what's familiar. That's why a lot of times I just DJ old school nights, because like, hey, I can play whatever I want within a certain era and people are going to like it because the music's already out. It's nostalgic, whatever. But when you're playing new music, I remember Ludacris, How Low. That was a huge single for him, one of his biggest singles, right? And I was at a club up in Appleton, a really packed club, and I played How Low because I had an advanced copy of it because T Minus, he and I had the same manager, he had produced it, so I had a version before the labels sent it to me. I played it. You'd have thought that someone pulled the fire alarm in that club. Everybody just walks away. I'm like, clearly this is one, a dope song. Listen to the beat. It sounds amazing. Two, it's Ludacris. Everybody loves Ludacris. Three, it fits in with everything else I'm playing in terms of the energy, in terms of the bounce. Four, it's a good ass song. Don't you want to listen to it? Nope. They don't want to dance to that shit. It's too new. They've never heard it before. 3 months later, though, 3 months later, I had to play that record probably more than once throughout a night. And it was just because of that level of familiarity. So if I did that more than once and cleared the whole floor because I'm playing some new shit, that's going to reflect poorly on me as a DJ. So, I'm not trying to hear, why don't DJs break more records? Why don't you do some shit that's going to get you fired from your job more often? That's the real question, because that's the question that you're asking a DJ.
But I think in addition to just familiarity, it's how we've changed our expectations for where we source new music.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, we don't get new music from DJs anymore. That's not the expectation. So when I go to a club, that's not what I want to hear. I'm not talking me, and I don't even really go to clubs.
You're one of those drunk people that goes up and tells his DJ.
But since the DJ is not known as this source of new music, that's not what people are expecting when they go to the club, because DJs used to have, they used to be a part of record pools. And I know those kind of still exist, but then you would get like certain remixes of songs, some songs early, or you might have a relationship with a label because they wanted a better relationship with you guys because you guys kicked records off. So it's just a difference in how the business works, which has changed our expectations, which results in the experience of, either dancing or not dancing on at clubs. And now it's a risk for you, as opposed to, I'm sure DJs used to get excited, when they knew they had a record that nobody heard and they knew was slapping. I'm sure before the party, they're like, man, I'm going to kill him with this one. Probably thinking about the time they want to drop it, how they want to mix it into the set. Now they're probably just sitting there scared, like, fuck, I know he just slipped me 500 to play this, but I'm jeopardizing my spot at this.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. I won't take my people have offered me all types of money, and it's like, nah. Well, one, they're never going to offer me more money than what the club's paying me. But yeah, don't do that. It sucks too, because you want to do that. At the same time, it's still fun to DJ. I like mixing up eras and blending genres and all that. So that's fun to me, and that just is kind of something that I guess I'm known for in a very small circle. Excuse me, as a DJ. But yeah, I was excited to play that How Low record, because I was feeling like, okay, it's around, I think it was 71 BPM, some around the low 70s. It's new. but it's familiar because it's ludicrous and it's a club record, it's a dance record. You know, listen to that clap pattern. People are definitely going to dance to that. And they did 3 months later. So I don't know. That broke my spirit. I didn't break a record. I broke my spirit.
Don't let this stuff break your spirit, Pain.
A small part of my DJ spirit died that night.
Before we wrap up, and I know we've touched on this before, but I see it, and I basically want to talk about there are still people out there that are telling artists that you need a certain dollar amount to have success in the music industry, to break into the music industry. And that's another conversation we can have. Like, what does break mean? Like, what is break an artist? What is break into the music industry? But people are still saying you need a certain dollar amount. Now, I can give you case study after case study of people that had no money, a little bit of money, a lot of money. I show you people with a lot of money and no success. And I'll show you people with a little bit of money and a lot of success. But I know that some artists kind of want to hear this because they don't have that money. So let's just say the money's $30,000, right? You need $30,000 to start off in the music industry. Some of you guys want to hear that. So now you have an excuse that's not you. So now that you can point somewhere else that's not me, although you should put, even if it was a $30,000 entrance fee, it's still on you to figure out how to raise that money to get in. So it actually still is on you, but it kind of shifts the attention away. If somebody says, hey, you need $30,000 to be successful, you don't have it. So now you're like, okay, it's not my fault, or it's not my music. My music's good enough. My team is good enough, but we don't have $30,000. So that's why we're not moving. And that's kind of where things will stop. People will be like, okay, well, we don't have it. So as opposed to, putting together a plan and just constantly grinding and building over time, the resources we have today are ridiculous. The different revenue streams that are open to artists, there's a lot of them, and a lot of them can start making you money without any investment, right? Like, people are just being creative on social media. TikTok pays you. Twitter's starting to pay you. YouTube's been paying you. Facebook pays you. So as long as you have content that can start building up an audience and grabbing people's attention, now you have money, because it's coming in from these platforms. It's coming in from sponsors. It's coming in from merch that you can pretty much, now that you have Printify and all these other dropship options, you can pretty much start with $50. You set up your website, get your domain, you connect it to Printify. And actually, I don't even think you need a separate website to use Printify or Printful and all these other dropship services.
Yeah, a lot of them you can incorporate right into your YouTube. Or I know BeatStars has an option to integrate dropshipping merchandise. Yeah, they're everywhere.
So, and I'm not sitting here saying that you're not going to need to invest in your business eventually. You will need to invest if you want to grow your business. If you want a legit business, a long-term business over time, you're going to need to set up things properly. But there's so much that you can do without money, right? Even videos. If you don't know how to do videos and you don't have money to pay a dope director or videographer, guess what? You have a phone, you figure out how to shoot a video yourself. Like, there's literally no excuses these days. It's hard. It's tough to put out dope content to get attention, because you're competing with a lot of people, but it's possible. And there's nobody that should be telling you that you need a certain amount of money to do anything, because you can eventually get to that point to raise money for whatever you think you need, right? You either raise money for what you think you need, or you develop the know-how to do it yourself. Oh, you don't have somebody to mix and master your music? Guess what? Hop on YouTube, figure it out. It's not going to sound like it was mixed by Ali. It's not going to be mixed by Ali status, the first time out, but keep doing it. Your 200th song is going to sound a lot better than your first, second, and third song. So, I mean, in the comedy world, in the music world, people are doing this, starting from nothing. You start getting attention, then you start getting sponsors that want to get involved. You get enough people following you, that's big money for people to sponsor a video. You'll start getting $5,000-$10,000 a video. Now you got the money to do whatever you want. Now you have the leverage. You know, you need to get to a point, and if people want to partner with you or people want to sign you, now it's a different conversation because hold on, what you just offered me, I made that last week. So I know my value is higher than that. So and if there's anybody listening to this that thinks you need a certain amount of money, I would gladly invite you on to the podcast to debate it, talk about it. And that goes for anything that people disagree with on this podcast. I mean, I'm not going to let any and everybody onto the podcast, but if there is somebody that, you know, has a platform that disagrees with what we're saying, come on the podcast. Let's talk about it. We don't have all the answers, but we definitely have healthy experience. We have our own experience, and we know a shitload of people in this industry at this point that have different types of experiences. And that's why these conversations are so interesting, because there's not one way to have success in this industry. I've seen people start and maneuver in so many different ways. And that's why I think it's cool about the music industry. And that's what keeps these conversations fresh, because there's always different routes. There's always new revenue streams that reveal themselves. There's new platforms, new social media platforms. Like everything's always changing and evolving. And that's why I think even when we talk about the same topics, you know, we'll probably talk about them in different ways because, you know, everything's changing so much. So if there's anybody listening to this that believes you need a certain amount of money, you know, even Funk Volume. I mean, I had some money that I, you know, invested in the Funk Volume, but it wasn't, you know, a super high dollar amount. It was more about bootstrapping, right? Like you start a business, you make a little bit of money, and you just keep reinvesting into the business to grow over time. That's what artists need to do. I mean, that's been a term in business since forever, but you are a business. This is the Music Entrepreneur Club. Just bootstrap your business. It's going to start small at first, but hopefully eventually over time, you make the right decisions, build the right connections, put out the right content. You know, you can build a brand that's profitable.
All right. So if you disagree with Dame and have as many or more followers than him, that's an open invitation to the show.
Not even that. You just have to be somebody that's not a troll. You have to have, like, you know, it's not about a certain amount of followers, but if there is somebody that, you know, maybe in our space, the music business education space, that's peddling that narrative that you need a certain amount of money, let's talk. I mean, but I already know you already lost the argument because I work with and I work.
Can't lose an argument on the internet. That's the beauty of it.
But if you say that, here's the thing: if you say that, and then I start pointing to hella people that didn't have that amount of money but are super successful now, it's like, didn't I win? Like,
no, you didn't win. They'll move the goalpost. You're always telling me to not argue with people online, and then you do the same thing.
No, but
Tim, I love you.
No, but these aren't. I don't argue. Well, sometimes it's just fun. Like if I have a few extra minutes to spare, like what was the cat that was on the MEC page? It was a quick back and forth about, because I posted something about breaking an artist, because I don't use that term. It's not a term that I hear often in the independent community, really ever. Like, do you break? Because somebody asked me, like, do you consider, like, did you break Hobson or did you break Dizzy? Like, I don't know. They make enough money to support their families. To me, that's the goal, right? And then somebody responded in the comments like, "Oh, breaking is simple. That just means breaking into the music industry." And then I responded, I was like, well, people have different opinions on what that means too. Like, what is breaking in? Who has broken into the music industry? You can say, you know, so you can compare a small artist versus like a Beyonce. Did all of them break into it's still the same dilemma of what does breaking mean? And then he said something like, well, that goes the same for the word art. Like, people have different opinions on what art is. I said, well, just look in the dictionary. There's a standard definition of what art is. If you want to have a different definition of art, you can. You're fully. That's your priority. If you want a different definition of art, but there is. I don't know what the standard definition of break is. Like, to break an artist. To me, I've never, like, you can't look into a dictionary and say, okay, to break an artist means you have to have a gold record or you have to have a certain amount of followers. So that's why I was like, bro, that's a totally different. Just go in the dictionary, look at what art is. That's what it is. If you have a different definition of it, then that's you. That's your definition. But there is a definition of art. I don't believe there is a standard definition, even in the music industry, for breaking an artist. Are there certain metrics that say once you hit these metrics, you're broke? You've broke. I don't even know how to say it. Like you've broken. Have you heard that, Payne? Are there certain metrics that say, okay,
it's whatever the way people will use semantics to win any argument, and once you back them into a corner, they go from this is how the internet argument evolves. They'll make a statement that doesn't make sense. You'll counter it. They'll revise their original statement and completely change it so that they're in a better rhetorical position. Yeah. And let's say they start by arguing statistics. Then you win on the statistical front. Then they switch it over to some kind of qualitative criteria. And then once you've won on that front, then they switch it over to a semantic argument about what's really the definition of art. Fuck all that shit. Shout out to everyone tuning in. Appreciate all of you. I do want to have one more. I want to have a more interesting conversation about this next time, because T-Pain says some more stuff that's interesting to me.
No, this is just separate from music. Like people just have to learn or just get comfortable with saying like my bad or I'm sorry. I saw this video the other day. It was a lady that had accused this black dude of stealing her son's phone at a Walmart. So she's following him around so that he doesn't leave. And he's telling her like, hey, I don't have your son's phone. Eventually, they're at the front of the Walmart. The kid comes back with the phone. They find out that the kid actually just left the phone in the car and he had it. And instead of the lady just saying, oh, I apologize, I was wrong, she looked at him, she flipped him off, said, fuck you, and just walked away. And that I just don't understand why people, like, once they realize they're wrong, like, just say sorry, just say my bad. Like, to me, that feels good. Like if I'm wrong about something and I say sorry, like that's the way for me to feel the best about that situation. If I turn up even more and like continue to blame them for me having the wrong stance that I had, or to get mad or to say fuck you or whatever, like that should make you feel terrible. Like saying sorry should make people feel better. But that's just not how shit works these days. And it's weird. So, if you're wrong online,
not a sloppy racist bitch, so there's that.
Right. So yeah, that's more of this podcast. Say sorry when you're wrong. Say at least my bad. Give them my bad or sorry. So we need to, we need to popularize that, unfortunately, because we've gotten into a weird place.
Yeah, let's popularize accountability. Sure, Dame, that'll catch on.
Anyway, accountability and integrity. That's got to come back.
Oh yeah, it'll come back in a big way, because me and Dame say so. Catch you next time. We're live with our free music business mentorship program twice a week on beatstars.live, Mondays and Thursdays at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Dame, how do they stay up to date on all of that stuff via phone?
You can get a text reminder every Monday and Thursday, although I don't know why artists aren't just using their calendars. Get in the habit of using your calendars to put all of your important dates in. And that means you put in Monday and Thursday at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. We're having a live session. But if you don't want to do that, we can also send you a text MEC to 844-206-7800. You'll get a text reminder. But artists, please start I'm going to talk about this next week because it would save you a lot of time. It would be a lot more helpful, and a lot more helpful for your managers if you just use the damn calendar that's in your phone. But that'll be next time. I'll go on that rant.
All right. Appreciate you tuning in. Peace, everyone.
Peace.